Hello, everybody. My name is Chris, and welcome to the East Whittier Middle School Instrumental Music Program House of Horror channel. I'm here today with Angela Serrano. She is our HOH Event Coordinator, which she's been in that role now for about 2 years or so. And she's also the East Whittier Middle School Instrumental Music Program Foundation President. So Angela, if you want to go ahead and say hi to the people.
Hi, everybody. I'm very excited and thank you for joining us.
So I'm super excited to have Angela here today. I've known her for the past 2 years or so, and she's a wonderful individual, and I'm super excited to pick her brain a little bit to find out kind of what goes on and what does it entail to be a coordinator of an event this size. So
Okay.
Angela, my first question to you is, how many years have you been involved with the HOH, and how did you get started?
This would have been my 6th year, but we are still doing a really neat event, which we can talk about at the end. So this is my 6th year, and I got involved through my oldest daughter. She went through the music program 6 years ago. So that's when she told me, Mom, you got to volunteer. They need help for this haunted house. And I was really intrigued by it, but yet thrown back because I'm not that person that likes anything that's scary. So I did put my name down, went to go see what the meeting was all about. And before you know it, I was voluntold that I had to do a hallway. So I kind of was hoping to do something behind the scenes and see, because I'd never experienced the HOH at that point. So I wasn't really sure what the direction was, how does it flow or anything. So I went in just fresh meat pretty much. And once I went to the meeting and I saw the energy and the amount of people that were there and the ideas, because my thought of a house of horror at that point was, this is middle school, it's going to be something small, it's not going to be too crazy. So that's why I just dove in thinking it's nothing that's going to scare the bejesus out of me. But to my surprise, it is something that is very top notch, and it is meant to scare you. And I'm just amazed of the transformation that happens. And I think that is what caught me. And even though I'm not that scary person fan, I loved how all the parents came together, and you would never think of these hidden talents that they all have. And we utilize every single person's talent and energy. And sometimes they don't even know that they have the talent, and they go in timid as well. And then next thing you know, they're so passionate and they're taking charge. And it's just wonderful to see, individuals evolve in those settings, because they get excited and they see the excitement in the kids. And so I think the adults become these big kids, and you get to create this awesome thing. And it's just so rewarding. And that is the reason why I have stuck year after year with this, because it's just the community, the sense of community, doing something positive, for the music program, and something that our children are very proud of, because our children do like to brag and be like, oh yeah, I have a room or I have a hallway. So it's something that we do initially for our children, but then you end up meeting these amazing adults, parents that you would have never met and didn't even know you might have something in common with them, and these friendships blossom, which is just amazing. So I think that's the beauty of the HOH.
It's interesting what you said, how initially you said, you know what, I'm going to help out. I'm, my kids in the music program, what can I do to help? And that you kind of thought this was just going to be like a basic middle school, haunted house, which I don't blame you. I mean, I think, like, I know when I was in middle school, my school put on a haunted house. I think the parents put it together in about like one day, and there was just, black plastic everywhere and some like kind of hokey little Halloween decorations. So I think that's kind of the idea that most people that maybe come into the HOH that don't know much about it kind of think.
Yes.
But as you kind of get into it, you're like, holy cow, wow, this is for real. Like, these decorations and the sets are, they're
It's no
professional
joke.
status. Exactly. So my next question to you is, since you've been involved for, this would have been your 6th year, you've been involved for roughly about 5 House of Horrors. What are some of the rooms or hallways that you helped create before you became the actual coordinator of the HOH?
My first year, I started off with doing a hallway. So I was the lead of the first hallway, and I want to say that was for Cabin in the Woods, if I remember correctly. And it was really fun. I had so much fun, and at the same time, I learned very quickly that I needed to step it up scary wise. You know, like our core team, you know, Cassie and Oscar at that time, like they're like, nope, scarier, nope, scarier. And I was like, oh my God, where are we going with this? So I remember having our first hallway, and it was decorated with this kind of army camouflage type of netting. And then I got some trees, like the branches, and we just kind of put them everywhere because it was Cabin in the Woods, and then they dried. So they gave it this really creepy effect, which was awesome. And we had these white masks that were just plain. And I remember we spray painted them with some blood, like blood droplets, like if they were splattered, like there's some murder scene just happened. And we hung them all over. And we used the black lights. And I remember when the lights went out, all the faces looked like they were coming from the woods. So it gave it that, you know, illuminated, creepy kind of feel.
Right.
And we had something popping out at the end of the hallway. So it was just really, really cool. I remember the kids having a lot of fun in it. And then the next year I did the Baker Hotel. I want to say it was the Baker Hotel if I have my timeline right. And I did the bathroom. So I was the lead of the bathroom that year. And then Mark Fonseca, he was in charge of the construction for that and did an amazing job. And it was so much fun. I remember one of the cool effects that we had in the bathroom was that we were able to make our sink function, and it looked like blood was coming out of the sink. So we had did Kool-Aid or something, I forgot what we mixed, and it was just running through. So we left it on, and it just looked like blood was coming out of the sink. And we had this person, you know, standing there in a white dress, white makeup, just really terrible, with black long hair. And it was just very creepy. And we had this clown head with a balloon coming out of the toilet. So it kind of gave it that little it factor at that point. So it was very memorable. We had a Grim Reaper in there. We had a clown at the end, and it was a cool room, and there was a lot of pop scares at that point. And then the following year, I assisted with the voodoo room, and I'm trying to remember the theme of that one, and I can't remember what it was, but I did help with that. And I was more helping Cassie and Oscar with any behind the scene things and anyone that needed help. So I think at that point, without even knowing, I was already being trained, I guess, for my next role, which next year would be the lead for the entire event. And then because everyone stepped down at that point, and it was like all of them, like they all left, and we were like, what's gonna happen? And everyone thought, like, is this the end? And so I remember them making the announcement and saying they were stepping down, and you know, if anybody was interested to please raise their hand. And nobody was raising their hand. And I remember my husband raising mine, and then the kids cheered because they're like, okay, there's still hope, we have it next year. So I was very nervous, because to fill the shoes that started the House of Horror and that made these lasting memories and this tradition that's year after year, you get nervous to step into that role because you want to make the music program proud of what's being put out there. You want Miss Carnahan to, you know, be happy and love what's happening. And when there's new people, sometimes things evolve or they change, and sometimes change is not received well, sometimes it is. So it's kind of like that chance that you're taking and hoping that it's well received. And then, you know, thankfully, you know, I met amazing people that joined the core team, like yourself. You know, you have been an amazing creative director. You know, your perspective as, you know, working at Not Scary Farm. So you brought a lot to the table creativity wise. And then we had also Rudy Rosales has been part of the HOH for a few years as well. And he also has an amazing creative mind, like the way he can just think of things. Right. So with his, you know, creativity and your knowledge, and then Ryan Banfield, he helped with construction and creativity, and George Zamora did our construction, and just we all blended so well. And then Natalie, who did our publicizing and our graphic designs and our t-shirt designs. So the whole core team at that point, it seems like we all blended well, thankfully, you know, because it makes things a lot easier. You know, we bounced off of each other. And I think that's what, you know, made everything work so well. So my role for the next 2 years had been just being the lead. And I don't want to say just because it is a big responsibility, but thankfully, you know, there's a whole village helping to get this event going. And that is what makes it successful. It's just that all hands are on deck. Everyone is welcome. Everyone's appreciated. And, you know, we don't say no to anybody. We need you. So I think that's the fun part, was where everyone's like, yes, you know, I can put my creativity juices, and, you know, you start meeting these individuals and it's just awesome. So that's how I got started and where I'm at now. And I know that I'll be sticking around. I know that once my term is up as president, I still will be involved with the music program and with the HOH for sure. I know that my family, you know, has really taken it to heart. They love that event. It's a family favorite, and I can't see me walking away and my kids being okay with it. They are like, no, we're going to help, you know. So I really feel that HOH will be part of us as long as probably it goes on.
For sure. And I think you provide a unique perspective, because you started off, you said you started off just kind of helping out with the room, right? And then helping out, and then you eventually became like a lead of a hallway, and then a lead of a room, and then eventually the coordinator of the HOH. So I think you provide a unique perspective, because you kind of been there from that parent who didn't know what the event was about to the position you have now. You have that perspective of, like, you know, what it takes for the event to be successful, and what makes a room scary or a hallway scary. So I think that's helps make you successful in what you're doing in your specific role. And I, you know, just to kind of to talk a little bit more about that transition year. So from when a lot of the former HOH volunteers, they stepped down to move on to other projects, and then you took over. I remember that was my first year. I think it was your first year being the HOH coordinator. That was my first year. And I mean, just speaking from experience, and you can add a little bit to what I'm saying. I really didn't know any better, because I had not been actually involved with the HOH. I mean, I'd gone through the haunted house before, but I remember, at least for me, it was definitely, it was challenging, because really the only person that was still in the HOH core team that had really been involved before was Rudy. There were some other parents that had been involved, and they had rooms and so forth, but not so much on on the grand planning scale. So speaking from personal experience, it was a challenge, definitely trying to live up to that. And I think like that was the most difficult part, was hearing about all of the great rooms and the great, like just great events prior to 2018. It was stressful in a way, because we were trying to like live up to that, to not only meet the expectations of what it takes for HOH to be scary, but to kind of go beyond that, to be better than previous years. So I mean, no, that was definitely a challenge for sure.
For sure. We were in it together.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think like last year in the Carnival of Fear, I feel like Nat and I, we felt more comfortable in our role, you know, because we were not newbies. We had kind of been through it once before, and we all had been through it once before. And then once we brought Ryan, you know, Banfield was able to come on board too. He kind of helped us take what we were doing to the next level, you know, with the clown facade that he did, and him bringing in Joey from Fog It Up, who helped us with all those cool lighting effects and the professional fog. So I just think like we were just more comfortable, and like last year, the Carnival of Fear just seemed to flow, like we were catching a groove. And unfortunately with COVID, we weren't able to continue that this year, but hey, like you said, we'll talk about that later, about the event that we do have planned this year. HOH is still around, just not in the same capacity that we've had done before. But we'll talk about that later. Also, one thing I wanted to ask you is like, about the planning process. So when does planning typically begin for the HOH, and what is the overall planning process? What's the process like?
So the planning process typically starts in June. I know our event is typically the last week of September or first week of October, but we start planning in June. And in June, the core team, we get together, we start texting each other, you know, like, okay, we want everyone to come up with at least three ideas, everybody, and elaborate what your vision is with those three ideas. And then we'll meet up. We met up at Starbucks, and we share our ideas. You know, we all go through each and we listen to everyone's ideas. And while everyone is presenting their ideas, we start, you know, collaborating. We're like, oh, we can add this to that idea. We can do this. So even though it was maybe someone's vision, all of a sudden we have all of these ideas from us five. And then we start writing everything down. And then once we've gone through everybody's, we kind of just vote, like, what's our top three? And then let's vote from those three. And so once we've narrowed it down, we pick one, whatever the vote comes down to, that's what we go with. And then we start planning, okay, so like when we did Carnival of Fear, let's just say, then we were like, okay, this is a theme. Okay, now let's come up with some hallways and some rooms that would go with the theme. So we wanted it not to be too stressful, because since we were new, we were trying to make it as easy as possible for all of the individuals that were going to participate. So it's not that we wanted to have complete control of it. It was that we wanted to help. So we created different options, I would say, for rooms and hallways, and kind of like a whole idea with it. And then we'll have our meetings in the park with parents. We send out an email blast to everyone that we have, and we start meeting at Michigan Park. And we start meeting like once a week in the month of July. So in June, it's the core. In July, we bring in parents that typically are the ones that want to be leads. So we reach out, and the ones that are interested in being leads, those are the ones that normally come, and they get, you know, first dibs on their rooms, you know, so I think maybe that might be one of the reasons that entices them as well. And then if we don't have everyone filled, like if we're still 2 rooms and 3 hallways, then once we get back to school, we start having weekly meetings every Tuesday, I believe it is. We have a weekly meeting till the event happens. And at that point, we get a huge crowd of parents that do end up coming, and we do get the rooms and hallways filled. And we present the ideas that we have, and then they sign up for what they would like. And even though we've, you know, like they've taken, let's just say, what was it, the ticket booth room or whatever, they still have creativity. They can go ahead and evolve with it. And so it's not so much that we're saying this is what it has to be. We give them like, this is an idea, but you can go ahead and you know, just elaborate or whatever you want. And then they come and present it, or they're like, oh, what do you think if we do this or that? And so we just start collaborating and figuring out what would be the best with the space that they have, because that's one of the challenges is sometimes we have these huge ideas, but the space that each room or hallway has will limit you to what you can do. So I think that is some of the challenges as well that people may not even think about. But once we are doing our meetings, I think the best and the most coolest thing is, and even though it may be stressful, is the whole week of the build. So, you know, we start building and the gym is open throughout the day, and we have we start on a Friday. We start laying tarps down, making sure everything is covered in the gym, you know, get all the bleachers pushed back. We empty out the bin, the entire bin, and it all goes into the gym. We sort it out, and that way we have all our props, you know, organized, which is, you know, maybe some people don't know these things because they're not involved in it, but this is everything that it takes to get the whole event going. And then we have our amazing construction team that comes in and they do the framing for us. So we have a map that's already pre-laid out that we, you know, create depending on what we want, how many rooms and how many hallways. And then they start building, and we have to build by a specific code. You know, it has to be a specific width. you know, because we do have to follow regulations as well, you know, the fire regulations as well, because we do have inspections. You know, some people don't know that, but before anything, we have to have someone from the fire department come and walk through to be sure that everything is safe, that they don't see any harm. Because safety, you know, even though we're very elaborate, you know, safety is the #1 thing. So we want to make sure we do that. You know, everything gets, you know, sprayed with fire retardant, and some people may not know that, but that's a challenge too, is to get everything sprayed down. And once everything starts happening, it's just amazing to see the transformation, to go in at all hours during that week, because that week the gym's open from the morning till 9 p.m. And there's people working in the gym throughout the day. And so people are coming in and out, doing what they can at whatever time that they can. So by the time our dress rehearsal comes, we're on pins and needles, because we're like excited because we're almost seeing the finished product. We do our run throughs. That's when you see the excitement happening. Everyone's itchy to get in costumes and makeup, and you know, the fog machines go on, and you know, lights go off, and the black lights go on, and it's amazing. Like at that moment when we shut down for the first time, it's like, yes, you know, we start off with these little ideas, and when you see it evolve into this amazing thing, and we're just regular individuals, we're parents, you know, we're teachers and family and friends and students, and you know, we're not working at Universal doing these things, or at Knott's, you know, but it's just amazing the caliber that comes together. So that is something that I am always impressed with. Every single year I've always been impressed when, and especially when we say it's showtime, like that is like, yes, let's go. Everyone's happy, we're pumped, and you know, even you're running through that maze, getting all those actors pumped up. So it's just such a wonderful feeling. So yes, it is time consuming. Yes, it's a lot of planning, but it is so, so worth it. And I don't know, it's just an amazing feeling. And I just hope and encourage anybody who watches this video, you know, if you've ever had any reservations, I promise you, you will have no regrets. You know, I work full time, you work full time, but somehow here we are in these huge roles, we make it happen, and it's awesome and amazing, and I don't have any regrets whatsoever.
No, I agree. I mean, I think like helping out with the HOH, it's like one of the most unique experiences you're ever going to have. I mean, you can try to organize like a home haunted house, and like Ryan Banfield does that. He does a great job with the Haunted Rose. And, but you know, most of us, we're not, to do that on our own would be tough. But when we're with a collective group of individuals, and you had mentioned it earlier, how there's so many talented individuals that come together for this event to make it what it is. Teachers, parents, even the students, like the student scare acting. I mean, everyone
Alumni.
gets involved in some way, shape, or form. And it's just amazing to see how talented the Whittier community, East Whittier Middle School community is. And it's just, you know, in people that you never would think are like have a certain skill and are able to bring something to the table. And I think that's one thing I did want to add, is that no matter if you think, well, I don't like, and we'll get to this later, you know, like, I don't like scary stuff. I don't like going to haunted houses. I don't like things like that. I mean, there's a role for you. And actually, I want to ask you, Angela, so you want to talk a little bit about what you think about, or prior to the HOH, what's your feelings about like haunted houses and scary movies and all things related to that? That's because this is a pretty interesting fact about yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, true fact is I don't watch scary movies. I don't like them. And if I watch them, if I'm forced to, I watch them like this, because I just can't. I get that anxiety. I don't go into haunted mazes, houses, nothing. The only haunted house I'll go to is the Disneyland one, and that's about it. But I remember once going with my husband to Knott's Scary Farm. I'm not kidding you. I walked in through the gate. We got right just where Ghost Town's gonna start, and I walked right back out. And I couldn't handle these actors all over in my space. I just couldn't. I got this anxiety and I couldn't. So now doing the House of Horror, I think the only reason that I can is because I know what it looks like with the lights on. I know everything's fake, even though I know everything's fake outside, but I know where everything's gonna happen. I know where the pop scares are. I know where the actors are. So I think for me, that is the one thing that just I'm okay with. And these are kids. The people that are in are students. So, and I know some of these students. So that's why I think I feel a little bit more comfortable, even though they know. And I think that when the lights go off and I do my run through, believe me, I still am a little anxious. I do get stiff. I go through it and I try not to look, but yet I'm still doing it because I know I have to check everything. But when I walk in, I tell the kids, I'm going to walk through. Do not scare me, and they just laugh. So I think that is something that is interesting, is that how my family makes fun of me because they know that I've never been that person ever. And here I am in charge of something that if someone would have said maybe, 10, 15 years ago, yeah, you're going to do that. I'll be like, no, I'm not. But, I am so glad that I did it. And like they say, you should never judge a book by its cover because you just don't know. I'm so glad that I didn't, because it truly is an awesome event and it's just wonderful being part of it.
So no, that's really awesome to hear. So my next question is, why do you continue to help out with the event year after year?
Like I had explained, is that feeling when the lights go off, when you see everything being built, when you see the smiles, when you see individuals that didn't know each other, and then when we're in the middle of construction and stuff, they're talking it up, they're laughing, they're like, oh, I'll see you tomorrow or whatever. Like when you start seeing those bonds and those friendships forming, I think that's the reason why I stick around, because it's a good group of individuals. I've made amazing friendships, from this that I typically wouldn't have made. I mean, you were my daughter's teacher, her 8th grade year. She's in high school now, a junior, and never in a million years would I have thought like you and I would be working together. We would know each other more on a personal level, but I'm very thankful, that I had that opportunity and that I do continue to have that opportunity. So it's just the friendships that you build, it's not normally the person you thought you would have ever had. And, our kids end up, being more attached to these individuals as well. Like they trust them and they feel, so I think it's just the whole sense of family and community that keeps me coming year after year. So because I do feel that it's like family, that's why I keep coming. And that's why I feel like I'll still come. Maybe I won't be in the capacity as the lead eventually, obviously. But I feel that I'll be part of the HOH in one way, whether we're doing a room, we're doing a hallway, we're helping with something. But and even my children, because my daughter keeps coming back to volunteer, as many alumni do. And that is just awesome that even though they're in high school, they still remember where they started. And for them to continue and do that support, that is just rewarding in itself. And they keep coming. And I think that is the reason why I will always continue to come, is that sense of family. It's an awesome event. It's a unique event. And I'm happy to be part of it.
And, shout out to the founders of the HOA. Shout out to Suzanne Ross. Shout out to Cindy, Cassie. I mean,
huh?
They're the ones that laid the foundation for us. And I know every year, and they've been gracious enough to continue to help, despite the fact that their kids already moved on. Some of them are graduated high school already, they're in college, and yet they still come back to help out, maybe not in the same capacity they did when they first started, but they do continue to come in to help out in any way that they can. So I think that to me shows me that how dedicated these group of parents are, that even though their kids have graduated from the program already, as well as many parents that continue to come back and help, that camaraderie that gets developed while being here, and just seeing the overall, wanting to continue to help the music program, because, and you can talk about this. Can you explain a little bit more as to what is the purpose? I know we do the HOH every year and we have the Harvest Festival, but where does the funds that we raise from the HOH and the Harvest Festival? Where does that go, and what does it help pay for?
We pay for music repairs. We do the blue t-shirts. We do coaches, competition fees, anything that has to do, that's where all the money goes. And it goes.
That's awesome. Thank you for explaining that about the program. And I think a lot of people don't know about that, about, well, what do the funds go for? What are they used for? And it goes
Right.
to a good cause. Everything goes to the good cause. It goes back to the kids. And that's the most important thing. So they can continue to get a, top-notch music education. So I have one more question. What is your favorite HOH memory?
Oh, wow.
If there's more than one.
Jeez, you're making it hard, I know. I guess I'll just give you a few little favorites, because I do want to give a shout out to the old crew, to Cassie, to Oscar, to all of them, the pioneers. And one memory that will always stick out is when they did Cabin in the Woods, and the first room they replicated that dock scene from Pirates of the Caribbean. So they had that house, they had the dock, they made it look like it was water, they had the boat, they had like everything except that there was monsters, but they replicated it and it was awesome. And the other thing in the Baker Hotel, I remember when we made the elevator where we actually were able to expand and close up this space. So it gave that claustrophobic, and there was literally someone behind the scenes holding onto a rail and pushing it forward and pushing it back. And I remember the entire time I was like, oh my God, they're gonna be tired. And there was people that were swapping out and taking shifts. But the fact that the inside of that elevator closing up on you and you're like, what's happening? Where are we gonna go? And then all of a sudden a door opened and you were able to go into a hallway. So that effect, I remember that is when I felt, okay, the HOH is going to a next level at that point, because I remember the following year, that was our year, the elevator was a talk. We got to do something because they did the elevator. We got to do something. So I remember that being something that we just needed to bring to the next level because that elevator did it. And for me, with us, I mean, I love everything, like how these actors came and how they brought a different sense to the House of Horrors. I mean, we always have had our students and they've always done a great job. But just having that adult mentor and these professionals, I think the kids just bounce off of that. They get their energy. They just, they're like, oh, I can do this. And they try to replicate. And so I see that, and it's just, I like that. Like that's a cool, fun memory for me, just to see how that evolves. And then like when we use the different, the scents to give that carnival, like when we went in, some people don't even know, this could be a fun fact, is that we did add some scented stuff to our fog machines to do popcorn smell, cotton candy smell. So when you actually did walk, you had that sense of a carnival. So just that, because it brings it to a different level. And I would say, like, I like the roller coaster that George did in the corner.
That was cool.
That was cool.
That was cool.
I love Rudy's spider, that big spider at the end.
Yes.
That was amazing. So props, Rudy. Great job. And everything. I mean, even Sandra's room, Sandra and Manny's room, where it was the circus. And we had Mrs. Miller in there supposedly being chopped off, and,
right.
So, and the kids. So, I mean, I don't know, like there's just so much that I can't, everything was awesome for me. Like, it's hard. I think I'm being biased too, but I really think it was all awesome. Just the laser machines we had and, just bringing it to another level. It was just awesome. And I'm so thankful to Dixie, to Ryan, to everyone that came, and just brought a different vibe, not a bad vibe. It just evolved, So, and it was interesting to see it because I kind of felt like I was part of that, starting from Isabel's 6th grade, where I felt Oscar and Cassie and Monty and all of them, they had it down, and they had it down to a T, and they knew like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. And that was awesome. And so I felt like it was moving in another direction. And then once we got it, I felt like it was at that point where we could take it to another level. And then with your creativity and, your knowledge, and then with, Ryan and George and Rudy, I mean, it was just a good creative balance, I want to say. So that I don't know. I'm just thankful. I think everything I like, I can't pick one definite one, but my guess, everything is just seeing the kids come out happy and taking that final picture. That'll be my memory. That's it. Seeing everyone together in costume, after the last thing, we're done, we take that group picture, everyone's happy. That's my memory, is just seeing the accomplishment. Like, yes, we did it, we pulled it off, and everyone's clapping, and everyone that's supporting us is surrounding that picture and they're clapping us out. So I would say that's my favorite, because everybody that put their hard, sweat, their tears, and yes, even tears sometimes, they're all there. And we have to give props to everybody, because it is truly a village to get this event rolling every year.
Yeah, and that last memory you mentioned, it's kind of bittersweet. I think what you're talking about is where the final walkthrough, where it's the last night of the event and we're about to wrap it up, and then as you're going through, it's like, okay, guys, it's kind of all trail out, and then as we all exit out at the same time, we take the group photo at the end, and that it's a happy moment, because you're with everybody that put this together, the kids, the parents, volunteers, but then it's sad at the same time, because that's it until next year. And it's definitely bittersweet, but it is a happy memory. So I'm glad you brought that up. I also see you're wearing a shirt. Can you show everybody what shirt is that from? Which HOH year? 2016.
It's 2016, and I want to say this is Cabin in the Woods. Yes, it is. It's Cabin in the Woods, but They made the cabin look like a skull. So this one, it was really interesting. That was my first year. So I laid out all my t-shirts, and I told my kids, okay, which one do you guys think would be the coolest one to wear right now? And I couldn't find one of them. And so they're like, pick the one that's the neon, because this one actually lights up, or it glows in the dark. So they're like, go ahead and wear that one. And I'm like, okay. They're like, because that's where it all started. So I'm like, okay, that made sense. So good times, good people, and wonderful friendships out of this entire thing.
Very cool. Now, you want to explain to everybody before we go about this year's 2020 HOH events, because we remember the HOH, it's not dead in the water. It's still going on, but in a different capacity. So you want to explain a little bit about what we're doing this year.
Okay, so this year, what we're doing, we've gotten creative and thought out of the box. And so we've come up with the HOH drive-through scavenger hunt. And what that is, it's a fun-filled, safe event, COVID-free style. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna stay within your car, and you would pick up a clue at, I believe it's gonna be at East Whittier Middle School on either the 16th or the 17th, because our event's the 16th and 17th of October. And you're gonna go ahead and pick up your clue, which will give you an address, and you'll be on your way to your first location. So we have different houses that are gonna be, their front yards will be decorated in Halloween, decorations, fun or spooky. And then, so once you get to your location, you'll be in the comfort of your car. You'll collect your next clue, and you get to view the house, the yard from your car, and you'll go on to your next location, and so on and so on. Once you've collected all your pieces, you'll get your final clue, which will lead you to the final destination of the trunk and drive. So since we can't do a trunk and treat like we could typically do, we're gonna do a trunk and drive. So we're gonna have individuals that are gonna decorate their cars. And instead of decorating rooms and hallways, it'll be cars, and there will be a contest for those who are participating for the best car. And so once you're going through, we're not going to say the location because that's what, it's a secret. So you got to go in order to find out where it will be. It's $20 a car. And so that's what we're charging. You'll get to go through the scavenger hunt. You'll get to go to the trunk and drive. You'll be able to vote for your best car. You'll get goodie bags with candy and for the students. And we'll be having, I believe it's Lascari's at the beginning in front of East Whittier. If you want to go ahead and grab some pizza or some drinks, and that way you're eating in your car, you're with your family or your friends, and you're having a fun time. And the fun will be from 5 to 8 p.m. And it's on a Friday and a Saturday. So it's a great time right now that everyone is, in home and not being able to do much fun. So this is one way where we thought we can get creative, yet still support the music program. It's not traditional House of Horror, but we're just taking it on the road, and it's a scavenger hunt and a trunk and drive. So we hope that everyone will still be able to support us. And you can go ahead and buy tickets if you go and you're following us on Instagram. And if you're not, please go follow us at EWMSIMP. And if you click on our bio, there'll be a link right there where you can purchase tickets. And it's through our Cheddar app or our Venmo. So there's different ways how you can pay. So please come and support us, and we'll hopefully be planning on HOH maybe next year. And if not, we're gonna get creative just like we did this year, but we will make sure that something happens. And we know our community needs it, and our students certainly need it. And we're very excited, and we just hope that people can come and support us. So please, please go purchase those tickets, and hope to see you there. And you have a car too, sir. So I'm excited to see yours.
I do have a car, yeah. And I don't want to give away what it is. Well, the students know a little bit. I did tell my students what my theme is, but for everybody else, it's going to be a surprise. And if you are interested in attending, if you're watching this video and you're like, hey, that sounds like fun. It's a family-friendly event. It's COVID safe. We're going to follow all COVID guidelines. You're going to be in your car the whole time. So we want to make sure that you're safe, as well as the people that are helping with the event are safe. If you are interested in purchasing tickets, down below in the description box, I'm going to have a link to their Cheddar Up and to Venmo, as well as if you want to sign up or follow our East Whittier Middle School Instrumental Music Program page, that will have more information about the event with the flyer. You can click on that and it will take you to that site. All right, so I think that's about it. Angela, thank you for being here today. It was really cool getting to interview you and to learn a little bit more about the inner workings of how the HOH gets created. So again, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. I appreciate you doing this and kind of making a time capsule for us, with all of these videos. So thank you so much. And, it'll be part of HOH history. And we thank you for capturing all of it.
For sure, for sure. So again, thank you for being here. And to everybody that's watching this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And we will see you in the next video. Take care.